All right. Give it a minute. Give it a minute to connect because the internet is going slow today. Come on. Come on, YouTube. 2.5 seconds if you all are watching this replay or if you have just jumped on live. Come on, man. There we go. We're good. We are good. Let me open up the chat. Okay, cool. Welcome, babes. I have my coffee. Everything is set up. It still looks like a fucking jungle in here. If you guys have been wondering, this is not normally how my living room looks. I have moved all of the furniture into one area. They're painting the outside of the whole building. So all of the everything has to be moved out from, or moved from the porch inside. So that means all of my plants are here with all of us. So welcome. What's up, everybody jumping on live? What's up if you are watching the replay? Okay, we'll do a quick little intro. If you don't already know who I am, my name is Sarah Delane. I specialize in personal branding, marketing, all those fun things, helping you build your online business, being the face of your business. And today, I'm really, really excited because on today's episode of Self-Made, which we are doing 13 episodes, I think this is episode 6, we're going to dive into parts work. So if you happen to catch my Instagram post, I made one for all talking about like self-love and what true love means, all of those things, because I feel like one of the, hang on, let me just like pause for like a second because too many things have been happening. I'm not fully grounded. Cool. Do you ever do that? Do you ever just need to like reset for like a minute? Okay, cool. Thanks for staying with. Okay, so what we're going to dive into today is parts work and why this is important. And if you don't already know what parts work is, I will definitely go into what, like the whole explanation of what it is. But why it's important is because we are dynamic beings. And why it's important for succeeding in your business is because it's a really powerful approach to help you get out of your own way, deal with rejection, if that's a thing for you, deal with anxiety. If you're an entrepreneur, I feel like you probably have a thing with anxiety, but check a box of your own of which one might apply for you, right? Anxiety, imposter syndrome. Oh God, that's a big one that it helps with. All the things that basically like get in the way of us building our business, marketing ourselves online, in person, anything that like is going to get in your way when you've got the systems and the processes and all of the strategies and basically everything technical, you've got that locked in. Cool. The other thing is the you part of your business. And if that's not equally locked in, then the whole self-made, growing your business, scaling your business, or just succeeding at whatever level that means for you, that's the foundation, right? That's everything. You are your business, especially if you are the face of your business. And if you're watching here today, chances are that you are. So one of the things that I have found that has just gotten to like, just break through all the fluff, all the ways that everybody talks about mindset and emotional mastery and like all of these different buzzwords that can sometimes just get a little overwhelming where you're just like, okay, like just what's the, like they're all symptoms, right? Like what is the core? I am a big get to the fucking core, break through all of the fluff, break through all of the different terminologies and get to what is the foundation and how do I fix it? What is going on? What is wrong? What's the problem? What's the challenge with either myself, like I'm speaking for myself, but as you, like whenever you get in your way, whatever that is for you, and everybody has so many different ways to say it, and everybody has a different term for it. And honestly, nobody really wants to use the buzzword terms. Like nobody wants to be like, oh yeah, hi, I work with anxiety. Oh, hi, I've dealt with imposter syndrome. That's like, if you don't fully know what that is, to full transparency, like before, like, I want to say I was like my third year into really like getting into business and studying other people, and they would all talk about this imposter syndrome. And for the longest time, I was just like, I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know what that means. I understand the words that everybody's saying, but I don't understand the feeling of it. I don't know how that means that I'm showing up with it. It didn't go in. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't know how to take the way that they were explaining it and process it for myself, because it just, to me, it felt like a symptom. And so I'm like, okay, if imposter syndrome, if anxiety, if all of these things are just symptoms, then what is at the foundation of that? Right? And I am big, if you've been following me for a while, you know, but if you don't, I'm really big on, what's up everybody live? And hi, if you're watching replay. I'm really big on understanding the psychology. I'm really big on understanding like the core of our human behavior, understanding what makes us do the things that we do as humans. And this goes back to being in Hollywood. This goes back to understanding character development, understanding psychology of building characters and using archetypes. And that's why I talk about this stuff so much. But when I really started educating, getting certified, and really like wanting to search for like, okay, well, what is the core and what's going to be the solution at that core? Like, how do I break through my own shit? And so how do you break through whatever those terms are for you, whatever those symptoms are for you? Like, do you want the core to really like understand first and foremost, get why you do the things that you do, and then understand how to actually like break through the core, not just all the symptoms, right? It's kind of like when you have a headache, it's, do you take a Tylenol? This is like the oldest example in the book. I had a really bad migraine the other day. Okay, so just a full true story. But it's like, do you take the Tylenol or do you find out why you have the migraine? And that's the difference of what I really want to help you understand, that parts work and understanding parts work is the core foundation for. Okay, so what is parts work? It's basically, it's really simple. Yes, there's complicated aspects of the psychology, right? But that's my job, is to take that complication and then make it into something really simple. So imagine that inside of you, your beautiful, dynamic self, you are a multifaceted individual. You have multiple aspects of your personality. Every single person does. Right? And so I often joke that like, we're going to get in touch with all your personalities and we're going to name them. And some people might be like, is that like healthy? Is that like a little weird? Like all my personalities? Yeah, it's really healthy. Actually, it's more healthy than, I can't say it's more healthy. We won't go there, but it is really healthy to understand how dynamic you are, all the different aspects of your personality, get in touch with them so then you can have a healthy relationship dynamic with them. And so it's basically understanding those multiple aspects of yourself, getting to the core of each one of those aspects, emotions, beliefs, and behaviors, because subconsciously they're influencing your behaviors to continue growing, scaling, marketing, doing whatever you need to do in your business, right? So that is the purpose of really understanding all of these, so that you can continue doing the behaviors that will help you continue succeeding and getting to the next level. So it's understanding each one of them. I'm a big fan of drawing a big old circle and kind of either doing, a meditative practice. When we're doing like inner one-on-one work, we go through a whole process of like going through and getting to the core and naming each one of them. And so I have my own particular strategies and methodologies to do that, but everybody is totally different. But one of the things I might invite you to do is really just like sit down with yourself and be like, okay, well, when this happens, what part of my personality comes out? And that could be a stressful situation, or that could be a really happy and fun situation. So when things are really fun and really engaging and really happy, what part of my personality do I allow to just, or is able to freely express itself? Or then when I'm stressed, or when I'm overwhelmed, or when I like have resistance around doing anything, I'll be the first one to admit. And every single time it's like, okay, well, Well, what part of your personality is that? Who are they? What do they believe? How do they feel? And thus, then what is the behavior that they're doing or maybe not doing? Procrastination, that behavior. What if it's a part of your personality? If you've been following me for a minute, then you know I talk about Patricia every once in a while, and she is my perfectionist part of my personality, and I fucking adore her. If she talks too much, if she gets, too in the moment and too excited in the moment, and she continues wanting to share, then that's when things in my mind become, it's not good enough, it's got to be better, it's got to be perfect before you can either put out that post or finish that landing page or, call that next, potential client. Everything has to be perfect in order to take that next action if she talks too much. But Patricia is also really good at making sure that when I'm building a slide deck for a presentation, for a keynote talk, for a workshop, anything like that, or even just creatively designing for clients or myself and my own brand, she will make sure that it's like, oh, no, just tweak that a little bit because then that looks better, or maybe just, kind of expand it a little bit more, or really like go through and meticulously to make it perfect, right? So that's her voice, that's her emotion, that's her constant inner dialogue is, okay, get it perfect. And that's really useful in a healthy way, in a healthy context, until such time that it's like, you got to be able to be like, okay, thank you, Patricia. Like it's good. And like, it's perfect enough. So she's a wonderful source for making sure that things look top notch. And that is part of my brand difference of making sure that everything really has that like elevated caliber to it. Sometimes when people be like, oh, progress over perfection. Patricia has definitely something to say about that. So she'll be like, cool, yeah, progress over perfection, but could we take just an extra little second so that maybe when everybody else is just doing progress, then you're like, cool, I'm doing progress with like, but I took a little extra second. So even if it's one extra second of review to make it just a tiny bit more perfect of her word, then you'll be a little bit ahead of the game of everybody else who's just progress. Maybe not taking that extra second because they're not allowing their inner perfectionism, their inner Patricia, to have that voice. So that's where it's really healthy to give those parts of you a voice, but also really healthy, or even more healthy, to manage them to understand, okay, are they stopping me from moving forward? Here's the other thing that can happen is, let's say you've got Patricia in one room and she wants to make sure everything's perfect. But then you've got like Becky Breakdown, who needs to have like a tantrum about something because her inner wounded child is still healing. And maybe then, like Annie Take Action is not in the room. So you've got Patricia and Becky, and now like they're in conflict with Annie Take Action, and now you're not doing anything. Give some comments if you're following this. And so that's where, like I said, I name all of them and I know them by their character aspects, right? Their character attributes, the things that make them beautiful and leaders in that personality, because then I can call upon them when I need, and you can ask them to sit down when you need. So if they get into conflict with each other, it's kind of like two people in a room who don't agree, and now you have an argument. And now nothing is taking place. And that's what can turn into what feels like resistance in taking the next best action. That can turn into, overwhelm. Have you ever just kind of had that moment where you're just like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. It feels like there's too many things going on in my mind. Well, it might be because there's too many, Becky's and Patricia's and Annie's having a conversation, and they're all in an argument. And no, it's not a quiet room. Have you ever walked into a room and you're just like, God, it's really loud in here. I can't hear myself think. And then what does that turn into? I don't have clarity on the next step in my business, or I don't know what to do, or what should I do? And nobody's answering, and you can't hear because there's too many conversations and you haven't quieted everybody. So again, this is going to start sounding, again, it's really healthy, but sometimes, so Michael, let's go. Yeah. Hey. Again, it can sound, like I said, I often joke that like, it sounds like, oh, okay, split personalities. We're not clinically, right? There's no clinical aspect of this. This is getting in touch with your personality and the multiple different dynamics that you are. And every human being is dynamic. So thus you would have multiple different aspects of yourself, right? So the goal is to basically identify and communicate with each one so that then you're in a healthy dialogue, so that you're in a healthy relationship. Like any relationship, communication is key. So if you're not in communication, or if everybody's just kind of talking and it's like hearing static and noise, again, nothing's getting accomplished. Put some comments if you're resonating. Okay, cool. So being able to apply this in your business, I feel like might be clear based on what I've said, but make some notes for yourself, like every morning. And this is something, honestly, I still do. So full transparency, still right there with you. Same thing has to apply, because no matter what next level we get to, so this applies if you're just starting, or if you're, setting those next goals for yourself, because at every next goal that you want to achieve, somebody's going to have something to say about it. One or a few of your parts are going to have something to say about it, because all of those parts have been developed during significant events that you've been through in the past. Thus, they're what got you here today. So you've learned, you've had to tap into these different parts of you. You've had to become or allow these different parts to express themselves, or you've had to find those different parts within you sometimes in order to get through different situations. And so now they're part of you. Yes, they're part of you, but now they're always part of every conversation. Let's say it that way. That's probably like a cleaner way to say it. They're always part of every conversation. So you set a new goal, you either start a new goal or you set a new goal, they're all going to come up. They're all going to be part of the conversation. So that's why identifying them and then communicating them will be really healthy for you to determine, so that with every next step that you want to take, you're really clear who's in the room and what the goals are. And most importantly, that they also know, like Becky knows, okay, there's a time and a place for you, but not right now. Patricia knows there's a time and a place for you, but not right now. And so my personal, in the work that we do, that's like in the methodology of parts work that we do, it's identifying all of those different personalities, parts of your persona rather, and then identifying who is that one core, or sometimes I'll say the highest version of you. So it could be the deepest version of you. Some people feel it really deep within them. And then some people sort of like have a visualize like an alignment, and they're like, okay, there's like this higher version of me, and it's sort of speaking down to me yet through me, right? So however you personally want to identify it, it's getting to that source of who is that one, and especially name them. And they're sort of they're like, there's the ones on the ship, right? So there's all of the sailors on the ship, and then there's the captain of the ship, and then there's the owner of the ship, or maybe even the ship itself. When it's inside a company culture, right? You have the employees, everybody's a leader, everybody's an expert in their own job, in their own specific field. And then you might have the manager or the CEO, and then you might have the owner of the company. So it's using a little bit of the hierarchy to just get really clear for yourself who has the say, who has the final say. And it's when you get in touch with that one, for the ladies, that's, I call it your hire her. For men, hire him, or if you, however you personally identify, could say the higher they, if you will. I work a lot with women, and I definitely work with some men as well. So those are just the terms that I use personally for my brand and who I'm marketing to. But each one is specific to you. So the name and how they identify. And honestly, some of them within you can be like, they can be non-binary, they can be of a gender, they cannot be of a gender, right? So it's like remembering to play and allow a fluidity and not be attached to anything, but most importantly, get in touch with naming them and the emotions and the behaviors of each one. It's kind of like how with a movie, right? And you have many different characters within a movie. It'd be really boring if a movie was just one character the whole time. Like there would be nothing to play off of. There would be nothing to engage with. There would be no conflict, right? So hence, again, getting in touch with them so you can understand the conflicts that they have. But those are the things that make every movie and every story exciting. But what is the story that you're building within your life? And what is the story that you as the leader in your business want to be telling? And who are your team of leaders? And is that internal team of leaders, are those internal team of leaders all on the same page? Do they, whether they have their own emotions, their own value systems and behavior, do they also know and understand the value systems of that one, that higher self, that deeper self, that most authentic self, that truest self? Do they know the values and desires of that one? Because that's the one that matters the most above all. That's sort of like the ringleader of all. Is this making sense so far? Let me actually tap over to see what's up, everybody watching live, because I haven't been looking at the comments. How are you accessing these separate parts? Really great question. So don't think of it as how you are accessing them. Think about it as they are you. You are them. They're parts of your personality. So if you're, yes, there's methodologies to discovering each one, but if you just kind of, self-awareness is always step one, right? So in a lot of the parts work and the personal development like methodologies that I use, there's always 4 phases. The first one is awareness. So that's always self-awareness, right? I am not the only one to say that. Everybody's like, self-awareness is always step one. But in my methodology, I gave it 4 different phases. So self-awareness is always step one. Self-acceptance is step 2. So that's accepting that if there are any, like that resistance energy, moving into acceptance energy, moving into, if there is a part of you that, let's give it the anxiety one, right? I personally definitely deal with anxiety. I have my entire life. And so sometimes that's really inconvenient. And so sometimes I'll move into like a resistance of the anxiety because it's really inconvenient at times. And it's like, that can't happen right now. But when I learn to understand that that's a part of me and that, and anxiety for me is a masculine energy. So not necessarily like gender specifically, but it's a masculine energy. And so when I got in touch with that energy of my anxiety, and I named that and I went through that whole process, and this is intimate to you. So you don't always have to tell everybody all of your names. I think it's kind of fun. But when I really got in touch with that, then it was like, okay, that's part of me and it wants to say something. It has a desire to communicate something. Just like in any relationship, and the foundation of any relationship is understanding. So it's really being able to understand yourself, that part of you, that anxiety part of you, as one example, and then move into the acceptance of it. And what that looks like is listening to it, understanding it, having compassion for it, because that releases the resistance. You're no longer trying to stop something from happening. You're just like, okay, this is what is. I am in anxiety right now. Like, release the resistance to it, right? And then from resistance, that's when then you can move into alignment. And alignment is basically choosing the next thing that you do want. So if you release, or when you release resistance to that part of you, anxiety, call it Archie, if you will, whatever yours might be, then what part of you would need to take place in that moment? Call in Maybe it's courage. Like, what is causing the anxiety and who needs to show up to support you in that moment in moving out of that anxiety more, and who, like, what needs to be in that place, and call that forward within you. There was some other time that you needed courage and you found that part of you within and you mustered all of that courage and then took action on whatever thing that was. That was a part of you that in that moment you pulled, like dove to the depths of your core and you were just like, okay, let's go, right? However that experience was for you, call upon that version again. Do they need to show up? And what is their name? And if they did, then how would that support the relationship dynamic with Archie anxiety? And so when you can move into then that alignment phase of choosing a new part to help support, to move you forward, whatever that next step is, then that leads you into the fourth phase, and that is actualization and self-actualization. There's a lot of different talk, a lot of different sort of definitions and explanations around self-actualization. To me, it means that you can move through enough, you can integrate those parts and move through those phases with enough ease and effortlessness and flow that then that self-actualization becomes possible, right? Like, it's the deeper understanding. This is actually the core of parts work. When you can understand all different parts of you, then you reach those higher states of consciousness that allows for self-actualization. And am I sitting here claiming that I am like the most self-actualized? Fuck no. Oh my God. Still a student, always a student. And I do know and can say with full confidence that putting these into practice, putting parts work and all of this understanding, the deeper understanding of psychology and just the parts of our personality, the character aspects that make us human. When you can really understand how humans work and how just we as humans tick, then you can understand those deeper drives, those deeper goals, and those deeper desires. And I truly am a believer that every soul on this planet, whatever your preference of higher belief is, if you believe that you're in this body, you have a soul, I believe that each person's soul has a desire for self-actualization, because that means it wants to understand itself more. That's what leads to fulfillment. And to me, that's a true definition of success. And then the behaviors that come out of it lead to materialistic definitions of success. Can do, right? Because nothing's getting in your fucking way. You're not getting in your way. You can understand other people so much better, so they don't get in your way. I see people through the lens of like different parts of their personality now so much more, and it helps me so much. Where I'm like, wow, that person is kind of interesting. That's an interesting part of their personality for me to observe. And I get my own self-reflection out of that, right? And I'm sharing my own personal experiences, hoping that that is lending you to have the same or your own vantage point for how you're observing other people as well. But to start viewing yourself and other people through this lens of, oh, that's a part of me. And that's like, we do a lot of discussion around identity work. But an identity is so complex. An identity is, it's many different beliefs, many different behaviors. So we're really talking like, it's not just identity. To me, I don't believe that there is such a thing as that, because we are dynamic. And so if I was going to say, okay, so Patricia is an identity, she's part of my identity. And when I need her and I fully allow myself to just be in full acceptance of just being overly perfectionistic, like I give her that, right? She thrives on that. And I talk about them like they're in third person because I think that that is also really healthy. And then I also know how to have that agreement with her where it's like, okay, right? I've let you be fully self-expressed, Patricia, in, making this new presentation or keynote talk or, workshop or something like that. And now we need, Annie action to come in, because now we actually have to put it out, or we actually have to like get into the fulfillment of it and teaching people this. So then that can help everybody else too, right? What's up, everybody that just jumped on? We're talking about parts work to help you succeed in business. So give some comments if you either know what I'm talking about or if you're hearing this for the first time. Sounds like the result of Vipassana for 10-day silent meditation. Beautiful. So if you've gone into a 10-day Vipassana, which I think is absolutely beautiful, and you discovered hearing different parts of you, beautiful. And look at what happens, when you're not, right, trying to talk so much, that then you can truly go in and listen. And what did you hear? And did they sound different? Did they have a different personality, a different energy, a different tone, maybe a different essence? I put essence in the category of like masculine essence, feminine essence. For you, it's more about environment than personalities. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but okay. Are you saying that maybe like when you're putting yourself in different environments, then that allows you to experience yourself in a new way? Because that's absolutely the case, 100%. Different environments will allow different parts of your personality to thrive more, right? Or just and give an example for yourself as well, so I'm not just speculating off of your sentence. But like if I just went to an amazing, my friend Ryan here teaches an amazing fitness class. Shout out to Ryan, shout out to Training Mate, amazing, just the whole tribe of like Aussie tribe of Training Mate. Such a good class. And there are parts of my personality that show up differently when I'm working my body out, right? My lazy part of my personality cannot show up, right? The one that is just like, we want to be cozy, take a nap and relax. And right, the part of me that needs to show up and quiet everything so that we can fully relax, she can't show up, right? And that different environment absolutely like sort of propels those parts of my personality to come out. Absolutely. So it's as simple as that. If you go hiking in nature, there might be allowing a different part of your personality to come out there as well. It's hard to get work done from home. Okay, this is I love that you said that. I had a client say that to me one time, like in so many different words, but exactly that. And so I said, this was a woman, right? But same thing applies. I was like, what makes you feel like a badass, right? And so as a guy, what makes you feel like a badass? For her and for me, I'm always like, I feel like a completely different, this also would happen when I build different characters. It would always be about shoes, because whenever I put on a different pair of shoes, it's like, it activates that different part of my personality, right? So I went to the gym and I've got like red Converse Chucks. Totally fun, playful little kid, like go get them. Like I love that I can like feel my feet on the floor with those. And that yet when I put on like my sexy fucking stilettos, that's like, let's go. Like thriving, let's take over the world. One of my favorite quotes is like Marilyn Monroe. She's like, give a woman a pair of heels and she can conquer the world. So I apply it very similarly to that, where when it was inside the home and I was like, cool, what makes you feel good? What outfits could you put on? Just like a character, just like an actor puts on different characters, or excuse me, doesn't put on different characters, embodies the character by putting on different clothes, different things that allow that character to come fully to life. And so if you're at home, well, then put on an outfit that makes you feel like a boss. What does that look like to you? How do these different, whether it's environments or different articles of clothing that can make you're going to sit different, right? If you're in a suit than if you're in your sweats. That's just usually, is that safe to say? Is that fair to say? So getting in touch with, okay, if it's hard for me to work at home, and yet if there's certain conveniences to working at home, what needs to take place? What part of your personality needs to step forward, and what would they wear, and who would be like, what would be their name, and what is their primary emotion and objective / value and behavior? What do they wear? Go put on that outfit. Nobody's at home. Nobody's seeing you. Who cares? And so for her, for one of my clients, it was like, go put on something that just makes you feel like a boss, that just a total badass. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is to anybody else. It only matters to like what is going to help bring that out of you. And she totally did it. She told me the next day, she was like, man, I got so much fucking work done, like slayed through her task list. So it doesn't have to be overly complicated, but you're playing with these different parts of your personality, like a character, like an actor plays with all of these different characters that it embodies. And the thing is that they come from within you. So it's always authentic. Actors embodying, it's always authentic. It comes from it comes from inside of them, not outside of them. So tapping into what that might look like. Yes, clothes play such a big part. Nothing like suiting up. Exactly, perfect. So I was saying the same thing exactly. It sounds like right when you typed it. So suit up, like literally suit up. And how would that change? And what difference might that make for you? And play and just see. Just play and see. You only have to gain. You have literally nothing to lose, other than all the things done on your list. That's what you have to lose, completing things. So does that resonate? Give some hearts or comments or questions. What's up, everybody who's just jumping on or watching? So if you're watching the replay, like I said, this is core stuff. So when everybody talks about whether it's imposter syndrome or anxiety or needing the right mindset, all these different buzzwords that are technically symptoms of a deeper core. And the deeper core is the understanding of your parts and being able to play with those parts of your personality and call forward the leaders that are needed in each moment when they're needed, or even discovering the ones that are needed. Sometimes we shoot for bigger goals, and if that, like everybody said, like shoot for something, and if it's a little bit scary, means you're on the right path, but that means that a different version of you has to come forward. You have to get in touch with and call forward a next level version of you in order to achieve those goals, whatever that is specifically for you. So we're recognizing all the different parts that we've been able to do that in the past, but we're bringing conscious awareness to that and then putting them through, or putting you through a methodology to then discover the future ones. Here's the like little bit of, this is the cheat codes for like true success. If you want to be like super real, right? Cheat codes for future success are identifying all of the past parts of you that you needed to become, but then getting in touch with those future versions of you that you want to become, that you have not yet fully embodied, but are still within you. You just haven't like unleashed them and let them out to fully be 100% authentically expressed, getting in touch with what those are, developing those parts of your personality as if they were already there, if they are, but as if they were already there, planning them like a character, planning out their wardrobes, planning out get in touch with how they feel. What behavior do they have? Just like an actor develops a character and then integrating those future parts of you, which are really deep within you, just unrecognized or not fully embodied or brought awareness to, right? It's kind of like they're napping. There's a future part of you that's napping that you can wake up and fully integrate and embody that would move you closer to your next level goals of whatever those are, whatever that success means for you. So those are kind of the cheat codes for success. And that's why I say using parts work is core and foundational, and the methodologies in order to do that so that nothing gets in your way. The past versions of you that might be in conflict with that future self, and getting in touch with that future self, integrating and fully awakening or embodying, right? Those are just two different words of saying kind of the same thing. But that is why using parts work to me, and in the work that I help others do, has been so foundational. It is core. So whenever you're like, here's how you know it's a parts problem, right? And this is something my mentor like just so clearly said when I was first learning this and really like just diving in and mastering understanding this. He said, you'll know it's a parts problem when there's that inner conflict that it's like, oh, well, part of me wants to do this, but part of me wants to do that too. So if you're literally using the words, part of me this and part of me that, that's an easy indicator that, okay, well, that's part of your personality that is in conflict potentially with this other part of you. And if they were in harmony, what would that look like? Or if you were in touch with that one or that higher part of you, version of you, what would that look like for your success and achieving your goals, your desires, business, professional success, whatever that looks like for you? Okay, so hopefully that made sense. Just remember that it's really about unlocking, right? It's about unlocking all of the dynamic parts of your personality and having a deeper relationship with them so that you can understand yourself better, so that then you can succeed better. I feel like, right, whenever we understand ourselves at our core, that's when we move through things just so much better. It really, truly is about understanding. Integrating is that next step, but remember, there's always four, right? The awareness, the acceptance, the alignment, and then the actualization. So they're all, it's moving through those phases to help you integrate, yes, help you integrate and lead to those, it's greater self-awareness and greater self-actualization, so that your success in your personal and professional life can be what you envision it being. And again, everybody's totally different, but I thought it was really important today because as much as we talk about business strategies and techniques and marketing and, you know, funnels and just all of these different things to help you be self-made, the self is the most important in helping you achieve that. So hopefully that was helpful for you today. Let me double check if we have any other question codes. Let's see. So yes, suit up. Again, I love that. Love the cheat code. Yes. Do that be meditation. Great. Your higher self. Great. So you call it your higher self. Awesome. I've called it higher self. I call it the one. I call it your inner self. It's again, it's whatever your term wants to be, but really getting in touch with that like primary leader self. Although he doesn't say much, maybe not asking the right questions. So maybe it's not meant to. It, he, she, they. Just try that one on. Would love to hear you talk about storytelling in one of your upcoming self-made sessions. Okay, so about storytelling. I think there is one video that I made doing storytelling or telling your story using brand archetypes that may already be in one of my playlists. So definitely go back and look at those. But I can definitely include storytelling in this because it absolutely is a big piece. Maybe we'll make that next week. Good thought. It's a good thought. Thank you. All right, that completes today's episode. I believe this is episode 6 of Self-Made. We are doing 13 episodes every Wednesday, 12 Pacific Standard Time. Please subscribe so that you'll always get notifications. If you're not on my newsletter, getting my newsletters, there's different tips and strategies that I offer in there. And of course, always whenever I'm offering special bonuses to my inner community over there, then you'll be the first to access those. But if this was helpful for either you or if you know somebody that might be just struggling with clarity in next steps in their business or needing to just move out of overthinking, overanalyzing. These are examples that I've had myself, right? So I feel like I can teach them because I know them. Always have to move through those myself. So maybe imposter syndrome, anxiety, anything like that. If you know anybody, then definitely please share this. Sharing is caring. And my goal is to support all entrepreneurs who are the face of their business, who have those personal brands, who want to step into either first time moving into that next level of leadership, or really just helping expand your personal brand, because making an impact and helping the people with your specific message, with your unique gifts, is what's needed in the world. So you guys know there's tons of goodies on my website. So if you want to download Profitable Personal Brand ebook, take the quiz, Profitable Brand Personality, there's tons of stuff over there as well. And that'll get you on my newsletter as well. So much love, babes. Thank you guys for jumping on live, and everybody who is watching this replay. Mwah. I will see you next week. Same time, Wednesday, 12 Pacific